So many people aren't making sales because they simply have a lack of trust in the business. They can see, oh, this person looks kind of cool and they share a lot of helpful hints and tips and they make me feel kind of seen, but they don't trust you necessarily. So you might be getting higher than average reach, higher than average followers, and you think this isn't turning into sales. When I go through and I audit people's accounts, this is most of the time what's happening is that they haven't told those stories to connect and they've neglected talking about their business, their methodologies, their strategies, their beliefs, their founder's story, the origin, what they stand for, what they don't stand for. All of these things are so important to supercharging sales. So many people miss this because this is a type of content that normally doesn't get the highest reach, that doesn't get the highest engagement, but it has people acting. As a female online business owner with dreams of more income, more impact, and more freedom, you know there's more potential in your business waiting to be unlocked. But figuring out how to shape and transform your biz and get seen, loved, selling, and scaling can feel like, well, a mystery. So how do you cut through the noise, create offers that deeply resonate, sell and scale without you always being on, all while creating a life you love? That is exactly what this show is about. Welcome to Seen, Loved, Selling, Scale. I'm Corinda, your small biz marketing sidekick, digital offer strategist, and online biz bestie. With tens of thousands of digital offers sold, tens of thousands of people helped, and millions of dollars in revenue generated in my own business as a small business owner. And through this podcast, I am here to share it all. You'll gain clear, actionable insights, strategies, and shortcuts to master your online marketing, build scalable online offers, and create a business model that works for you as much as it works for your people, so you can grow your income, amplify your impact, and free up more of your time. Let's get started. Let's talk about it, because if you are any small business owner that I have spoken to at the moment, you are likely feeling it. And that is that Instagram is feeling really hard. You are posting, you are showing up, you are creating what you consider quality content. You're aiming for continuous improvement. You're building your brand. You're showing your points of difference. You're following what is best practice on the platform. You're experimenting. And no matter what you do, you feel like you're not hitting these metrics that are in your head that would demonstrate to you success. We're talking likes, saves, shares, comments. You just don't feel like you are getting what your post deserves. You're not getting what you might have in your head should be your normal if you've been on the platform for a while. Maybe you experienced different things 12 months ago, 24 months ago, even 6 months ago, and you think, I want to get back there. Or maybe you're newer to the platform and you've seen other people achieve things, or you're seeing posts come past your own feed and you're thinking, why aren't I there yet? And here is the thing. Those feelings are completely valid. But what I'm going to share in today's episode is the actual facts about what is going on Instagram right now. Because here is the thing. So many people are feeling like they are not getting the engagement they should be, and it is hurting their business. They are holding back. They are diminishing themselves. Their confidence is being crushed. They're not showing up in the way they would. They're doubting. They're overthinking. They're overanalyzing. If any of this feels like you are not alone. But here's the thing. What people think is normal, or what people think they should be potentially receiving in terms of engagement, might not actually be what the reality is of the platform right now, because Instagram has changed dramatically. And in today's episode, I am going to go through with you just how dramatic the change in engagement has been. Now, we have seen it, we have felt it, we have guessed it for a while, but there's just been a report released with some incredible data that shows just how significant this engagement drop is. And that is really going to be the first part of this episode, is helping you to gain back your sanity around vanity metrics and what is actually this new normal, what that looks like, so you can adjust your expectations of what you should be achieving. But the other part of this episode, when we get you your sanity back, is to really empower and inspire you still around this platform. Because here is the thing, the engagement on the platform, and not just this platform, it's truly all platforms, but I know the most people I speak to are struggling the most with Instagram right now. So we're diving into that. But what is happening is that yes, engagement is down, but results are still happening. They are just less visible. And what I want to do is empower and inspire you around what we can be doing on the platform right now to still be getting results and to be making sure that we really are using this platform as a tool to power our incredible businesses. So let's dive in. Let's take back some sanity around vanity metrics and then dive into still getting results. So what the heck has happened to give us these facts that have really inspired me to create this episode today? Well, the Social Insider has released a massive report into social media platforms across the board. And they had broken this down into individual platforms and a larger report. And their report into Instagram told us everything that we have been thinking and feeling. And that is that after they investigated 31 million Instagram posts, after they tracked data from 2023 to 2024. So we're talking from January 2023 to December 2024. So they tracked this for 2 years and released this report just last month in 2025 in February. What they found is that Instagram engagement year on year has dropped 28%. That number is absolutely massive. And with that, we are seeing drops over all content types, reels, carousels, and single posts. It is not just that like single posts are no longer performing, but reels and carousels are absolutely popping off. This decline has been seen across each content type. And even more than that, we are seeing other declines in terms of average reach, in terms of the things that you are pulling your hair out about right now. These are the new normal. And the Instagram platform is still powerful. There are still billions of users on there. Your ideal audience. I saw a post the other day that said every post that you post is like a lottery ticket. It could literally change your day, your week, your month, your life. And I completely agree with that. But the thing is that people are just engaging less with the content that they see. And more often than not, they're moving straight to action. And we're going to talk about that. But what is happening is even with this engagement being down, we still have the opportunity to show up and to be aiming for our content to do the best job possible. And what I want to do is run through with you some of these stats so you can actually put in perspective what the best job possible kind of looks like right now in terms of an average. Now, when you scroll your newsfeed, when you are seeing those posts come up and they have thousands of comments and thousands of likes, and if you can see their shares are just so high up there. Instagram is serving you up like the 0.001% of content that has achieved that on this platform. The reality is that the millions of pieces of content posted in a time frame, only 0.001% are looking like that. And the rest of the content behind the scenes, which is still creating connection, still compelling, still converting people's ideal clients, still sitting on the feed, someone's favorite Netflix show that they're about to come and binge post by post by post when they find you. And all it takes is one person to find you. So literally one piece of reach via a reel, a carousel, a post, whatever it might be for someone to find your account and binge your content like Netflix and not go and like a single thing, but then hit that link in your bio and end up on your website or your inquiry form or wherever it may be. That's all it takes for Instagram to play a part in your business. But in a lot of people's heads, we're aiming for, I've got to get 100 likes. I've got to get 50 saves. I've got to get 1,000 shares, whatever those numbers are that we think makes us feel worthy or normal, that we're performing the way we should be, just aren't right. And look, I actually saw a post the other day that also made me laugh. It said something about you used to be able to fart on Instagram and get 1,000 comments and I'm just like 1,000 likes. And I'm sorry if that's a bit crass, but like it was the truth. I'm currently currently repurposing some of my content from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I'm seeing the likes on there. I used to get 700, 800, 1,000 likes on something, and I'll repost it again now with a bigger audience and what I would think is maybe an even more established or more magnetic brand. And what I'm actually seeing is 100 likes, 200 likes, 300 likes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not judging that. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not doing anything. My business is performing better than ever. And so are the people that I get to work with and see this as well. It's just that people aren't handing out likes for really everything they see that they actually like anymore. And that is what was happening back in the day. And that is what has significantly changed now. We're in what we call an engagement recession, where people aren't feeling like they need to go through and like things, comment on things, save things. They know the algorithms are getting so much smarter to serve them up the stuff they like. Same as followers. They may not necessarily even need to follow a brand anymore to see it. I certainly didn't even realize that I hadn't been following a number of people on Instagram. Like, I like their content. I will watch it through. So when I say like it, I mean, I will watch their reels all the way through. I will flick through their carousels. I will stop and read their posts. I will do all of those things. And then I thought, I've never seen stories from this person. Maybe they don't post stories. And I went to their account and I realized I wasn't following them because the algorithm is intelligent. Don't get me wrong. I do think the Instagram algorithm has a way to go, but the algorithm is intelligent enough to be showing these things up to people that Instagram just looks different. So let's go through and talk about what some of these averages are that this report gave us so you can start to actually understand even more in depth this new normal. So the report told us that Instagram engagement is down 28% year over year, which is just massive, right? So we are just absolutely seeing this huge drop off of engagement. And as I said, this is across carousels, Instagram reels, and single images. They are all down. But what this report gave us as well of these millions of posts is actually what people saw on average in terms of likes and saves and reach as well. So an average comment per post for an account which was 1K to 5K followers. So if you're a little bit under that, if you're under 1K, it wasn't tracked, but you can just put yourself in this benchmark as what would be your normal. Get this right. An Instagram average comment on a reel for an account that had 1,000 to 5,000 followers was 3 comments. The average comment on a carousel for that same account size, 2. Average comment on an Instagram still post, 1. Now, if your account's a little bit bigger and you have 5 to 10K followers, average comments on a reel were 4, carousel were 3, a post was 2. So you can really see here that this is on average what is happening on social media, on Instagram right now. When you put up a post and you get 1 or 2 comments, congratulations, that is actually average. And don't get me wrong, we can most definitely aim to be better than average. And also you are going to have posts that perform higher than average. You are going to have posts that perform under average. And then you are going to have a lot of posts that just perform beautifully average, playing one part of your marketing for you. And this is roughly what that is going to look like. Now, when we're looking at saves per post, again, for the 1K to 5K followers, the average saves for a reel were 2. The average saves for a carousel were 2. The average saves for an image were 1. 5 to 10K followers, average saves for a reel were 3. Average saves for a carousel were 4, and average saves for an image still 1, right? So when we're talking about saves on post, carousels actually tended to be the most saved. And a lot of that time when we think about the types of things we share on carousels, it might be more of that information that someone can bank and come back to, whereas they may not want to watch a video a second time or a third time over. A carousel they can easily flick through, get that information again. So we can start to also see here about user preferences for content types as well. And we're going to talk about that in the how to use Instagram still in the end of this episode. But I also want to talk about the average impressions per post, right? So Instagram obviously has changed this metric a little bit, but this report calls it impression. So they deem it as the total number of times a post is viewed. And so here are some averages. So for a brand which is 1 to 5K followers, the average impressions per reel, 590. Average impressions per carousel, 420. average impressions per image, 267. So we can see Reels still have that little bit extra impressions. Carousels are incredible, not far behind at all. And then single image posts are down a little bit. But also it could be that a single image post is all you have time to create that day. And I want to say that 267 impressions is a lot better than 0. So I'm not telling you to go through and not do static images. Literally at the time of recording this, I put up a static image on Saturday for International Women's Day. It was a message that I wanted to send out. Didn't want to put it on a reel, didn't want to put it on a carousel. I popped it on a single image and it did fantastic. So there is certainly a time and a place for this. And maybe it's because you have no time or you're creating in an odd place or something like that. It is still okay. So I want to give that disclaimer. But for an account 5 to 10K, 1,078 impressions per reel, 935 per carousel, and 562 per image. So again, reels and carousels are neck to neck there on the impressions we're getting. But here's the thing, if you are an account and you have 5,000 followers and you get 600 impressions, congratulations, that is actually normal. You have created normal content for the platform. I know a lot of people expect to reach a lot more people than that if they have 5K followers, but that is just not the way the platform works anymore. And here's the thing, this is why it's so important to be getting people off Instagram and onto your email list at every single chance or further into your business to whatever that next step is. Because there's a chance that you might get in front of one of your followers today. They might not see you again for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on what shows up in their feed. You are not always reaching all of your followers. You might be reaching your hottest community members over and over and over again. Every post you put up, the ones that are religiously engaging, religiously commenting, saving, that are really watching your stuff through, like those real brand ambassadors, that beautiful close knit community. But for people who are colder or just in that warm stage, it might be a lot less frequent that they are seeing you. And we can see this from these impressions here. Now, Instagram Reels views on average. So again, remembering that views and impressions are different things. But for 1 to 5K followers for an account size, the average Instagram Reel views 308. I see so often so many Instagram coaches saying like break out of the 200 view jail. And I get it. But here's the thing, that 200 view jail is actually what is normal for a lot of brands. And again, don't get me wrong. I love the work that these beautiful humans are doing, trying to get you at the end of the day to improve those outcomes and to go above average. But if you are getting 200, 300 views, I don't want you to be beating yourself up and thinking this marketing isn't working. We really have to change our perspective around what is normal in terms of these vanity metrics. So similarly, 5 to 10K followers, the average Instagram Reel views is 570. 10K to 50K followers, the average views are 1,650. 50K to 100K followers, the average views are 3,100. So we can really see here that like if you are an account and you are 1K to 5K followers and you get 1,000 like views on a reel, congratulations. That's absolutely like well above average to what can be expected. And so I really hope that some of this stuff helps you to put this in perspective about what you can be measuring yourself against. And I'm going to put this report in the show notes as well. So you can also go and look at this yourself. And I really, really, really encourage you to do it and to go through this whole report. Biggest thing I want you to take away is what is this new normal and what should your sanity metrics look like for these vanity metrics, and really just reminding yourself that your perceptions are driving how passionate you are feeling about this platform, how confident you are feeling, how creative you are feeling. Those perceptions of like that last reel sucked because it didn't get this amount is going to impact you as a creator when you can really say, actually, that was a little bit higher than average. Love that. I'm going to keep trying and refining and learning and experimenting to be above average if that is what you are aiming for. Or you can think, I am happy where I'm at on this platform right now. I'm also running a business, I'm building a life, and I have other content marketing channels that I'm also using. This is just one part of my strategy, and I am really happy with what is happening. And it's completely up to you, and it is so nuanced how you want to approach this platform. But what I do believe more small business owners need to do is shift their perception around those vanity metrics. And I hope that this helps with that. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm not here just to help you with your head and your heart. I'm here to help you with results as well. So let's talk about what is actually working in 2025 right now in this engagement recession in order to get results. Now, the very first thing, and this is not going to surprise you, I do not believe to hear this at all, but it is the quality of your content. You have to know your ideal client, your ideal customer. You have to be creating content that makes them want to stop their scroll, that makes them want to swipe through that carousel, that makes them want to watch that reel further, that makes them want to share that single post to their friend. You have to create the type of content that engages people. Now, I do not mean that they need to be hitting that love button, that save button, that comment button. Of course, we want to actively encourage that, and I'm going to talk about that, but we want them swiping. We want the watching. Instagram records these things. They know when someone loves your content and your brand, even if they don't press a single like button at all. Quality content is everything. So that is the biggest thing I'm going to say here, that you need to have a magnetic brand. You need to have complete understanding of your ideal customer. You need to understand how to turn pain points, desires, aspirations, situations, beliefs, values, the things that they resonate with, that they find familiar, that anchors them into your space, and create content around that. And for those of you in the Content Mastery Club, I call this the find it, fix it, feed it exercise. We find these things about our customers. We fix it if it's pain points and desires. We feed it if it's aspirations, hopes, dreams, relatability. And people start to see us, the one for them emotionally, value-wise, and they start to see our credibility, our authority, our value in their life, whatever it might be, to move them through the customer journey. So it really is about asking yourself, does my content mean something to the person on the other side? Or am I just creating for the sake of creating instead of creating for the sake of connection, to compel, or to convert? Which starts to bring me to my next steps about how we can be using Instagram. Now, you will also see this throughout that report if you go and look at it. But what I would recommend is that you actually do use intentionally different types of content across your content plan. So Reels currently do have the highest reach. Again, not by much on average, but they do have the highest reach. So I would be prioritizing Reels for reaching more people when I'm intentionally doing content that I want to reach more people. Now, bear with me. I'm going to explain that in a second. I would be using Reels and carousels and sometimes single posts for that other type of content when I'm wanting to compel or convert people. So if I think this reel is just not going to get over this piece of social proof enough or this brand story enough, I don't have any visuals to go with this. I really want people to focus on the words for this alone when I tell this story, whatever it might be. That might be better in a carousel or a single post. And I would be using that format for those things. But what do I mean when I say that for the things that I want to reach more people, I would potentially use Reels? For the things that I want to just create quality content around, I would simply use the mechanism that would create the best piece of content, be that Reels or carousels or single images. What I mean by that is another step to still receiving or achieving success on Instagram is to make sure we have a customer journey. And by that, I mean that I use a particular content posting strategy. I call it my 5-pillar strategy to make sure that I am moving people through as they see my content in their feed or when they come to my home page, my home feed on my Instagram profile, and they binge my stuff like Netflix and they binge your stuff like Netflix. They see all of these things that drive the customer journey in the one place. So what do I mean by that? I mean that I use content that engages and entertains. So that's stuff that makes people feel seen, heard, stop, watch, think, oh my gosh, this is so me, really feeling this right now. Oh, that's really interesting. Wow, that makes me feel something. I want to share this to my friend. I want to save it. I want to share it to my stories. I use that a lot to play the algorithm game, to grow my account, to get my account sent to other people who are also my IC, who the person seeing it might resonate with. And a lot of the time I will try to do that via Reels. But look, sometimes again, as I said before, 270 impressions is better than no impressions. If I don't have a lot of time, I can do that kind of stuff on a single post or even a carousel as well, depending on what's happening. But I'm engaging and entertaining intentionally. The next thing I'm doing in the customer journey is then activating, educating, and inspiring. And again, this stuff tends to get more reach or can reach. I do a lot of this on Reels and in carousels here, especially if I'm giving a lot of value away, like I'm giving methodologies away to show my credibility, or I'm storytelling or something like that. I'm giving many pieces of inspiration all in the one kind of niche. Then I'll be using carousels, but I am educating, activating, and inspiring. The next thing I'm intentionally doing is then telling stories that connect, because this is a superpower to brands. And again, a lot of the time I will tell these via Reels, but a lot of the time carousels as well. One of the things that works really, really well for storytelling at the moment is these vlogs behind the scenes of like February recap for our brand. We did this, then this happened, then that happened, and this happened. These are working really well in carousel format, for example. And if you're in the Content Mastery Club, I've been recommending a lot of these, but this is the type of thing I'll be doing there. Then I'm talking about the business, and this might be a still image. This might be a carousel. This might be a reel, but I'm not expecting it to reach a lot of people. This type of content isn't normally necessarily that stock standard top of funnel engaging stuff. I'm not making a joke. I'm not inspiring. I'm not giving valuable information. What I'm doing is actually helping people to trust me, to see why I am the one, to share my points of difference, to share my values. And that's going to be really important for people who are already introduced to my brand or getting to know my brand, to feel safe to buy. And I'm going to do a podcast episode on this, but so many people aren't making sales because they simply have a lack of trust in the business. They can see, oh, this person looks kind of cool and they share a lot of helpful hints and tips and they make me feel kind of seen, but they don't trust you necessarily. So you might be getting higher than average reach, higher than average followers, and you think this isn't turning into sales. When I go through and I audit people's accounts, this is most of the time what's happening is that they haven't told those stories to connect, and they've neglected talking about their business, their methodologies, their strategies, their beliefs, their founder's story, the origin, what they stand for, what they don't stand for. All of these things are so important to supercharging sales. So many people miss this because this is a type of content that normally doesn't get the highest reach, that doesn't get the highest engagement, but it has people acting. So, yeah, that's it. I know she's the one for me. I saw her through a reel that time. She's warmed me out with her carousels and her stories and her engagement and her activation. And wow, she's just spoken about how she actually acts as a service provider or how they actually make their product for the e-commerce type store. And wow, I absolutely love this brand. I'm sold. Like, sign me up. I'm going to the link in bio instead of liking or anything like that. And then there's the show off and sell content as well, which is when I am directly calling people to action. And we can kind of mix and match these. Sometimes I will literally do an about the business type carousel and I'll have a show off and sell post, right? So I'm not necessarily saying that each of these have to be their own post, but it's very easy to just follow these pillars and say, I'm going to do a post mainly about this. I'm going to do a post mainly with this strategic intent, to get seen, to get loved, or to get selling. And make sure that those are on your profile and going out in your feed. People are still achieving the most amazing results. Literally, people finding them that day, buying, signing up, whatever it might be in my community, in my world, because of this stuff that sits on people's accounts, showing exactly why they are the one for the person on the other side. Too often what I'm seeing, unfortunately, is people really prioritizing that engage and entertain and activate, educate, inspire type stuff. And while that's important as one part of our strategy, it doesn't move people forward at the rate of having this full customer journey. So this is really what I've been doing strategically and what my community have been doing, and still seeing the most incredible results. In fact, for some businesses, results have increased as engagement has decreased. I've been seeing a few reports that tend to say that this is because Instagram's targeting now, while you don't reach a lot of people anymore, you're reaching the right people as their machines get smarter and smarter. And I do tend to agree with this to a certain extent. I haven't seen exactly enough data to back it up and say hand on heart, this is what's happening. But anecdotally, this is what we are seeing. So also don't let low reach deflate you when chances are you could be reaching your perfect people for every single one of those views. So the other thing I have been doing though, of course, is just making sure that when we are creating content for each of those pillars, we are creating the best type of content we can be. Now, I've spoken about this on a past episode, but right now, trial reels, for example, are fantastic to reach the highest you can with a piece of content. So again, this is not about, oh, that trial reel didn't go viral. Oh, that trial reel only got 500 views. Oh, that trial reel only got 2 likes or whatever it was. This is simply about me going, I want to create a piece of content that does this part of my strategy. And I'm going to create it as a reel. And I want to test what hook works best, or I want to test what visual hook works best. So what type of video behind my message on the reel actually stops the scroll, has the most watch through rate, has the most engagement or action from it, whatever the purpose is that you're actually wanting. I'm really using that to reach the most people I can, knowing that the most people doesn't need to be millions of people to be a success. I literally did a post the other day where I put 2 reels up. One of them, I used a different video. It was just a different video in the background. This literally took 30 seconds to do this test because I created one reel, duplicated it, just changed the video, posted both as trial reels. One of them, I'd have to get the exact numbers for you, but it had at least 500 extra impressions or views than the other one. So I just posted it, knowing that piece of content was going to outperform the other one. Now, that piece of content never went viral. It did exactly what it should in my business. It generated connection and compellingness and converted people, all of those types of things without needing to go viral. But I got the most reach that I could from doing that little trial reel test. Now, you could be doing this with everything. You can be looking through all your data. Yes, we can't post trial carousels maybe in the future, but you can go through and see what type of carousel. So if I've done education carousels, what type of my carousels get the most reach, get the most engagement, get the most action, get the most click-throughs to my website, get the most ManyChat comment DMs that actually go through and send people to the places that I want them? What was the topic? What was the hook? What was the color? What was the angle? What was the voice? What was the vibe? What was the pain point? What was the desire? Looking into these things to say what actually works for my audience and learning for that. And that is definitely what is working at the moment, is to not get into this cycle, to sum it up, where we all of a sudden just go chasing this top of funnel content, like got to get more reach, got to get more reach, got to get more reach, and only doing that. Really understand your ideal customer as a whole and really understand that consumer psychology tells us people go through a customer journey, and set up your content as a customer journey. And I help people with this in the Content Mastery Club or Complete Content 24/7. I share these 5 pillars with you and give you content underneath each of these to really show you or help you or shortcut you to create this, to be able to get seen, get loved, truly loved and trusted as a business owner, not as someone who just, they love your content. They actually love what you're about and want to work with you or buy from you, and get selling or move them off Instagram to the next place that they need to be in order for you to get selling after they have been nurtured further via that next step. And of course, doing this seen, love, selling the best we possibly can with our sanity in place around vanity metrics, and also just wanting to aim for continuous improvement with our content using the tools and data and optimizations we have available without losing our minds thinking that if we're not reaching millions of people and not getting this out of the ordinary engagement, that we're failing, because we're simply not. That is a narrative that often is in our own heads around this perception. So I really hope that this has helped today. And I want to leave you with one last thing. And I mentioned it before when we were talking about the actual data. And that is that you are reaching less people than before. They could be the right people for sure. Wanting to clarify that one day. But regardless, at the end of the day, you are potentially not going to be reaching all your followers. You are going to reach a portion of people when you post. Please be prioritizing every single view to mean something. When you are doing those pillars, particularly at the end of the customer journey around educate, inspire, activate, the pillar of stories that connect, the pillar of about the business, the show off and sell pillar, please make sure you are actively trying to move people forward to, for example, an email list would be the number one thing I would recommend. By using freebies, by using next steps to get people to a VIP waitlist, to sign up, to get on your newsletter, to get a freebie, whatever it is, whatever you need to create to entice people to move to your email list. That is absolutely so important because that asset is still something that has so much more control over it than what Instagram does, the ever-changing platform, which leads me to the perfect segue to our next episode when I see you next week, which is going to be about email list growth strategies that are also creating the most results right now, because I want you to make the most of your social media. And one part of that is getting people off social media and into your list. So spend the next week going through really focusing on getting that sanity in place around vanity metrics, making sure you have your ideal customer understanding, a magnetic brand, making sure you have those pillars in place, or you can sign up to one of my programs and I will give you mine there. But make sure that social media is solid all around, and then start focusing on moving people further into your business where you are not at the antics of these algorithms. And I will see you in next week's episode when we are going to dive into that. Thank you so much for joining me. I am cheering you on as always. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Seen, Love, Selling, Scale podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired, fired up, and empowered to make serious moves that align with your goals and version of success, both in life and business. If you loved what you heard, head over to www.thisisco.com.au to find all the links and resources mentioned in today's episode. And if you aren't already following the show, make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss a future episode when it drops. I'll see you again next week, same time, same place, same goal to get you seen, loved, selling, and scaling. See you then.